Okay. All right, so we're here at Galt's Landing, and we're here with Jim Gault, and this is an amazing place. And we've had a great time staying here. We stayed in one of the Airbnbs last night, and I'm here with Tatsiana, my partner, as well. And it's a beautiful day, and I'm here. I just want to learn more about what you're doing, what your mission is, what your vision is, and how people can join the party.
I love it. Our mission is so simple. In fact, Bill Mollison's quote comes to mind. He said, "Though the problems of our world are increasingly complex, the solutions remain embarrassingly simple." And here it is. The solution to deforestation and mass extinction, the solution to cancer and diabetes and heart disease, the solution to hunger and tyranny, all of it is when we take the poisons out and we grow food instead of lawns. I know that sounds just so simple, but it's not a hypothetical. It's been demonstrated. When the students in schools learn how to use our land, then their cancer rates go down, their depression, their suicide, all of these ailments go down, and they are replaced by joy and abundance. This is when we catalyze a shift in awareness that leads to mass adoption, and that's key, right? When we take 50% of the 47 million acres of lawn and we simply take the poisons out and grow food on that lawn, well, then everybody wins.
Yeah, and this is, I mean, you can see right behind us. I mean, there's bananas behind us. You know, we just were walking the property this morning. We practiced our yoga, and we were just amazed with how much food there is just walking, you know, through the forest.
Yeah.
And you know, we're doing the same thing in Palm City, Florida. Mm-hmm. We're here in Orlando right now. Mm-hmm. And you know, obviously this climate is more conducive to growing food, but this can
Some
be done.
types of food.
Yeah, this can be done anywhere,
Yeah.
right? I mean, not just here in Florida.
Yeah, this is a 23-month-old food forest, and it already provides such an exponential amount of abundance. Right? Every one of these bananas have pups that have new bananas, and we have 240 different types of foods growing here in a very short time. Yet my buddy in Minnesota, his food forest is about 5 years old, and it makes this one look like a baby. And he's got 300 different types of food. So this can be done in every zone all around the world, and that's what we're doing, is we're helping people grow food all around the world.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And if somebody, so how long will it take to start producing food? Like, you know, like where you're able to get, you know, and what would you start off with if somebody was starting, you know, fresh and like right from scratch? Like,
Yeah.
what are the main things that you would start somebody would start with?
Well, so when we designed this food forest, we designed it to have quick producing foods and foods that take longer. Like an avocado, if you start from seed, you're talking 6 or 7 years before you're getting fruit.
Right.
Right. So the avocado trees we buy are as big as we can find them.
Right.
They might be 3 years in pots, and they might be, 6-7 feet tall. And they might cost $300 at that point, but within 2 years, you're getting $300 worth of fruit.
Yeah.
Right? So the ROI, the return on intention, is exponential. But at the same time, is we put in the longevity spinach, the Okinawa spinach, the sweet potatoes, the moringa, papayas, bananas, and all of these crops produce right away, like within 90 days. With some of those crops, you're getting food. Now, papayas and bananas might take, 12 to 15 months, but you're stocking in the 90-day food supply, the 12 to 15 months of food supply, and then over time, it just goes nuts with all the fruits and other veggies.
That's awesome. Yeah. So somebody can do this, and they can be like totally independent, off the grid.
100%.
Which, speaking off the grid, I mean, I noticed that the Airbnbs are pretty self-sufficient as well.
Yeah.
So that's the concept.
Yeah.
It's not just with the food, but also with energy and with water as well.
Yeah.
So it's all of it, right?
We're 100% off grid. The only grid tie we have is through the internet system, which is through the ether, right? Everything else is off grid. And the expense up front, it takes away all of the concerns long term, right? So same with a food, a fruit tree is a free energy system over time. Yeah, you put this one little fruit tree in the ground and your great-great-grandkids can be eating off that fruit tree.
Right.
Plus, it provided 1 million seeds for 1 million more fruit trees.
Right.
And same with energy. When you put the energy in up front, then you're free forevermore.
Right. So it's making the investment initially.
Yeah.
And this can really, I mean, if people then have their own independence in a lot of different ways, then that creates a lot more other freedoms and a lot less dependence on, I mean, there's a lot less friction between countries potentially. So can you speak to that, about how that can potentially lead to other peace?
Yeah. In fact, I just got note that Bobby Kennedy's coming here. I already met with him and I shared with him a campaign strategy that came to me that would create peace on earth in general terms, right? There's always going to be friction and contrast and all that stuff. But when we take away the fear that comes from scarcity, right? It comes from violence and trauma and scarcity. In fact, this is very well documented. Henry Kissinger 50 years ago said, if you want to control people, control food. Now, first of all, why would the head of the Council of Foreign Relations, the guy who appointed Klaus Schwab, be talking about controlling people? Because that's a strategy that they use, right? So if controlling food is the strategy to control people, then we turn the problem into the solution and we take back control of the food supply chain. So that's what our whole mission is to create a whole new food supply chain that's uses no poisons, no chemicals. We have no insect problems. We have no problems here. We only have solutions here.
Yeah. And if you do that, then you don't need the healthcare system.
Yeah.
So it takes the pressure off the healthcare system, which is being inundated right now with diabetes, pre-diabetes, cardiovascular disease, insulin resistance, cancer, which wasn't even around. These weren't even around 50, 60, 70 years ago. Tatsiana works at Hippocrates Health Institute, and we see people there all the time, that are going there because, this cancer's on the rise and stuff like that. And so is there any questions?
Yeah, how much time you would say a person needs to spend on the land to take care of the plants, and how much knowledge in general a person should have
I love it.
to handle?
Yeah. So first of all, I am not a farmer and I don't grow trees. I don't grow food. We design it and we build soil at the beginning. And then we put in these plants like perennial peanut and sunshine mimosa, and they cover the ground and they fix nitrogen. So the plants literally do all the work. I like to point out to people, I say, have you ever walked through a beautiful forest? And they say, yes. I say, who manages that forest? And they look at me funny. What do you mean? Nature does. Nobody manages a forest. The forest manages itself. We could walk away from this food forest and come back in 30 years, and this food forest would have expanded as long as nobody cuts it, nobody poisons it, or we don't have a major event. This food forest will expand hundreds, if not thousands of miles, because the wind, the rain, the animals, the birds will come in and they will take those seeds and they will plant them on the other side of the lake over here, and so on and so on. Yeah.
So it's self-sustaining, and it doesn't, I mean, how much, and that, so really you don't spend much time actually maintaining what we see around us, which is a lot of food.
I literally, in the 23 months that this food forest has been around, we've spent almost zero time maintaining it. The only thing we've done is when we have compost, we dump the compost in the right spots. Right? We don't have to process it or none of that. I come out here with a bucket, I throw it on the ground. And then the worms and then nature does its job, and then that becomes food, and it just keeps going. It's a cycle of life.
And the other thing is, I think that what's happening, or what can happen, is people can become independent. They don't spend as much money on food. They don't spend as much money on healthcare. And then there's a lot more freedoms from having to have the 9-to-5 job potentially.
When we can take out the systems of enslavement that have caused so much disease and trauma in our world, and we put in these food systems. For instance, one of my favorite places to put a food forest, prisons, schools, and opportunity zones. And then foreign army bases eventually. Right? But if we just talk about like the opportunity zones, when we lift up the most suffering among us, Right? These are people who have had a lifetime of trauma, and they eat toxic food all day long, every day. And they're riddled with cancer and diabetes and all sorts of depression, anxiety, and illness. And that's, of course, where they're the seeds of pain and suffering of our world, right? And it's because generational trauma. When we take those city parks and we turn them into these food forests, it will elevate the frequency, the consciousness, the life, and food will be free. Good food.
Yeah. So they'll be taken care of, healthy.
Yes.
And you said there's some studies that were done that actually showed
Many
this.
studies,
Like,
yeah.
can you talk about those?
Oh yeah. So one of my favorite studies is they did food forestry, or actually gardening classes in prisons in California. This is a generation ago.
Yeah.
And they proved that when the inmates spent 3 years in a gardening program,
Yeah.
the recidivism rate, right, the reincarceration rate dropped by more than 60%. Now, if we actually take a minute and breathe that in, wait a minute, 60%, we just reduced the majority of crime simply by having the inmates grow their own food. That's profound.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are there any other studies like that?
There's tons of studies on schools
Yeah.
where children that participate in gardening programs as part of their education
Yeah.
are simply healthier on every level.
Wow.
Yeah.
And can you talk about, as we're hearing some of this, the song construction going on in the background, about the actual property itself, like the construction, like the houses that are here?
Yeah.
So what's involved in that? Because I know that you said yesterday we were looking at some of the houses. They're beautiful on the lake here, and they're also with the environment in mind, like the steel, which normally isn't thought of as being recyclable or conservatory for the world.
Yeah.
You said that it's actually a really good strategy.
Oh, it's amazing. Our intent is to demonstrate the solution and then recycle the military-industrial complex, right? All of the tools of war, all of the machines of war, if we simply take the old cars and those machines and we can turn them into 3D printed steel.
Yeah.
So everything you saw yesterday, it's 90% recycled steel, and it's 100% recyclable. And the three biggest insurance issues, right, hurricanes and floods, termites, fire, and mold, are gone in those scenarios, right? Well, the hurricanes and the termites, fire, and mold, this is practically hurricane-proof construction, right? Plus, it doesn't degrade over time, right? So it's better on every way. So we're attracting and finding and then bringing all of these solutions that create basically permaculture, right? Which is permanent culture,
Right.
right? When we show people how to use our resources wisely at scale, then we win the war and we create abundance everywhere.
Yeah, I like that, because the structures are important, and showing and proving that the structures are environmentally friendly. They can be recycled. Along with obviously the land with the same concept, and then the only other one is energy, like the energy, and then the water. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so there are multiple, in permaculture we like redundancy, so we like a backup system. So our primary system here is solar with inverters and batteries. Then we also have generators as a backup. So if it's cloudy, like it was really cloudy in January, if it's cloudy for a week, and the batteries go low, then we kick on the generator. And we can create our own biofuel right here on site. Plants are fuel, and they can turn to different types of biofuel.
Wow. And then you have the solar panels, and then also you've got the recycled, even the toilets. And you've got, that produces up to 2 hours of usable gas that you can use every day. And I mean, these are all strategies that people can use and that a lot of people are not aware of. So.
Exactly. Awareness is key. And then you also mentioned water. So everybody should be catching and storing water, right? It's the lifeblood of everything we do. So in the case of Florida, we don't really need water catchment, but we do have a pond and we do have a well. In other places, I would suggest getting a roof water catchment system. Very easy to do. You can get an IBC tote. They're $50 or to $200, and then you can direct your water from your gutters into that IBC tote or an underground water storage of some kind.
Got it. Except I think that's what you're doing over at the Airbnbs.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
we have that big storage system.
Yeah. So people could have their own, acre, 2 acres, 3 acres, have their own food forest, water catchment, solar, and then they could have extra structures on the property that they could rent out for Airbnbs.
Yeah.
And create income and live off the land, and I think it's beautiful. Any other questions that you have?
Well, I just want to leave a comment that it's just amazing to be surrounded by these beautiful plants that you grow yourself. Just to have that connection with your own food that you can harvest at any moment. And this food is just so nutritious in comparison to the one you buy at the store. Just like there is no comparison. You just feel the energy. It's such a bright taste. You can have edible flowers, medicinal plants, all the salad stuff, amazing fruits. It's just, it's a blessing to have it nearby where you are.
Yeah, right outside your door. In permaculture, zone 0 is inside your house. Zone 1 is right outside your back door. And then zone 2, 3, and 4, that's what we do. We create, it's an energy science. So if you have herbs, if you like cooking with herbs and spices and different things, we put those as close to the back door as possible.
Yeah.
So you're in the kitchen, oh, I need some
Right
basil.
outside,
Zip, grab it, it's
Boom.
30 seconds in, and you've got $5 worth of basil that cost you nothing to grow, hardly at all.
And it's non-GMO. It's got all the minerals in it that you put in there, and the love that you gave to the plant and stuff. Yeah, it's amazing. And there's a connection there too. That's amazing to be able to have the connection with what we're growing.
Yeah, and I love that the phone is sitting on a stalk of bananas.
This is MacGyver here. She's like she I call her MacGyver. She figures out a way to do things.
I love it.
So anyways, great. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. We're really excited we're a team.
Yeah.
Right? We're a team regeneration, team
Yeah.
freedom, team life, team
Yeah.
service. The more we serve, the more it's reciprocal. Everybody wins.
Yeah.
When we demonstrate these systems.
Yeah, we just joined the Food Forest Academy, and I don't know if you really quick you want to talk about that.
Sure. So as I was building Galt Landing, my family and I, with a bunch of friends and a bunch of wise people from all around the world giving ideas, I started giving tours here. And I started seeing people weeping with joy and awareness, and it was just so beautiful. And then I started saying, well, why don't we create a model around this? Because we had off-grid food, water, and energy. And then the next level is community, right? So then we started bringing in community, and they started wanting the same thing. So we decided to get a support team to support the creation of these all over the world. So we now have them going up in Africa and Thailand and Canada and the United States. And we're putting these Freedom Farm Academies and supporting them everywhere. And they become seeds of abundance. So because of this place existing for just 23 months, right, we now have these going up all over the world, and every one of them becomes a seed. Like around this area, we're probably doing about $500,000 worth of food forest installations, because when people see this, they realize the logic of it and they want it.
Really?
Yeah.
So you've had that much interest just by people coming and experiencing it.
Yeah.
Locally.
Yes.
So you see that it kind of expands out from
Yeah.
which is what we're planning on doing in Palm City. you
Yeah,
know?
exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, that's amazing. So it's really catching on, and people are we're looking forward to like connecting with the other people and sharing ideas and learning from them to keep it simple, like you were saying earlier. Yeah. Okay.
Everybody's invited.
Let's go. All right.
good.
Thank you.
Thank you guys.
All right, thank
Good
you.
stuff. That was awesome.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. 20.